Good morning, class 10th. How are you? Hope you are doing well. Guys, we have started our chapter, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe, and in our previous classes, we have covered Unit 1. Today, we will be starting Unit 2 from this chapter. When we start this chapter, you please do remember the name of the Unit 2 is The Making. Making का मतलब होता है बनाना. The Making of Nationalism in Europe. This unit is divided into 6 segments. One is the introduction, the other is the other 5 units. All the units are very important. First of all, when we start the introduction part, we will be going through the political conditions of Europe in the 18th century. Here I would like to mention you when the French Revolution took place by the end of the 18th century. We all know French Revolution took place in 1789. So, when the French Revolution took place by the end of the 18th century, at that time there were no nation states. कोई भी country नहीं माना जाता था. Fine, there were no so-called Rajyas. The only thing at this time existed was their land was divided into varied provinces, regions, areas which were ruled by duchies and cantons. Duchies and cantons means the local leaders of the particular place. They ruled over autonomous territories. Autonomous territories means independent areas where they don't like to get interfered in their internal matters. They want that internal matters of a particular area should be settled by their own local leaders, and people were satisfied by this system. These duchies and cantons may be aristocrat, they may be a feudal lord, they may be a manor. Who were them or who were aristocrats, which we will be doing later on. Now, this condition, all the 4 points were applicable to the Western Europe. Besides this Western Europe, besides towards the west of France, there was also a part of Eastern and Central Europe. In this Eastern and Central Europe, there were autocratic monarchies. Autocratic means a ruler which hold all powers in the hands. Although यहाँ ruler नहीं है, there were basically the duchies and cantons, but they hold all the powers in their own hands. And the Central and Eastern Europe में monarchy was present. A king and the kingdom was present. People were diverse. They spoke different languages. They followed different cultures and traditions. There was no sense of collective identity at that time. They all were different. The only common thing among themselves was that they had a common empire. Emperor, you can say, not empire, emperor, and that too autocratic. One such strong kingdom other than France at that time was the Habsburg Empire. Habsburg Empire at that time was present day the countries of Austria and Hungary. It was a patchwork of different regions because it was a huge area. It includes the alpine, the ठंडे इलाकों को कहते हैं हम, as well as in the south, the hot areas were there. People were different and the society was divided into the richer classes and the poorer people. The richer people at that time called themselves as aristocrats. ठीक है, aristocrats in the Alpine regions. इस समय मॉडर्न डे में आप कह सकते हैं द एरियाज विच आर लाइक डेनमार्क, नॉर्वे, दीज आर द एल्पाइन एरियाज. तो जो ये ठंडे इलाके थे, हियर देयर वर 4 डिफरेंट रूलर्स एरियाज जिसके ऊपर रूलर्स अलग थे. एंड हियर द एरिस्टोक्रेट्स, द रिच पीपल स्पीक जर्मन. दीज एरियाज वर ट्रॉल, ऑस्ट्रिया, Sudetenland, Bohemia. I repeat, Tyrol, Austria, Sudetenland, Bohemia. The aristocrats speak German language in these areas. Besides German speakers, there were some aristocrats who spoke Italian. They lived in the provinces of Lombardy and Venetia, richer masses. Now the central, Austria तो यहाँ आ गया. Now the central part जो हंगेरी का था. In Hungary, 50% people spoke Magyar. Fine. And 50% different dialects. Different dialects मतलब different बोली, different भाषा, different बोलने का. For example, if in my place if you come, we say please keep this thing over there. जनरल लैंग्वेज में हम ये कहते हैं प्लीज इस चीज को वहां रख दो. पलवल में कहते हैं इस चीज को वहां धर दो. सो देयर इज अ डिफरेंस ऑफ डायलेक्ट्स. 50% people in Hungary spoke Magyar. Magyar was a language. And 50% spoke different dialects. There was also a small kingdom at that time, that is Galicia. In Galicia, which was totally share borders at that time with Russia, the people spoke Polish. Besides aristocrats, there were also peasants. Now, peasants obviously they may be landless, they may work as tenant farmer, they may be small peasants, whosoever. These peasants were also lived in groups. And they follow their own culture and tradition and speak different languages. Among the prominent peasant groups, there were the Bohemians. बोहेमिया में एरिस्टोक्रेट्स जर्मन बोलते थे, लेकिन बोहेमिया में पीजेंट्स भी रहते थे. Got it? And they were Slovaks who lived in the north. अब कॉमन आप ले लोगे ना, अल्पाइन ठंडा इलाका है, नॉर्थ की तरफ होगा. लेकिन पीजेंट्स अपने आप को या तो बोहेमियंस बुलाते थे या दे कॉल देमसेल्फ एज स्लोवाक्स. बिसाइड्स देयर वर द पीपल हु कॉल देमसेल्फ एज स्लोवीन्स. दीज पीपल लिव्स इन कार्नोलिया. कार्नोलिया नियाला भी कहते हैं, तो वो वर्ड आप देख लीजिएगा प्रोनाउंसिएशन के हिसाब से. देयर वर द पीपल हु वर क्रोश. Crosh were the people who lived towards the southern parts of Europe. And then there were the people who called themselves as Romans. कोई भी रोमन नहीं बुलाएगा, they were Romans. And they lived in the east. यहाँ मैंने खाली लिखा है, लेकिन ये east direction नहीं है. The name of the place was Transylvania. क्या नाम है जगह का? Transylvania. So, if you ask, Habsburg Empire कहने के लिए was in one empire who ruled over to the parts of Austria and Hungary in the mid 18th century, was in real sense a patchwork of different regions where different languages were spoken by aristocrats, where different cultures were adapted by the peasants. Not only this, जिन peasants की हम बात कर रहे हैं, now these peasants are different countries like Slovaks, Czechoslovakia बना, बाद में चेक रिपब्लिक बना और स्लोवाकिया अलग देश बना. स्लोवीन्स भी एक नया देश बना जिसे हम स्लोवेनिया के नाम से जानते हैं. देन देयर वॉज अ कंट्री जो कि साउथ में था, क्रोश, वो क्रोशिया नाम का देश बना. So guys, this was just an introduction part. Hopefully you please go through this video. If still not understood, then do ask doubt. Although in my online class I have explained the topic. Thank you, class.